Just do it. It'll turn out okay. And we're back for more Talking Time with Caffeine. 2 weeks ago, our last episode, we talked about the rumors of the COVID vaccine. But today, we're doing a more laid back one. And we talked to the Jaded Atheist.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. So, why are you jaded?
My name is actually Jade, so it was a play on my name. And I mean, I am jaded against religion, I guess. I grew up in an extremely fundamental home, so I had some pretty bad experiences with religion, and I guess you could say that made me jaded.
Yeah, I was kind of the opposite branch. I grew up in a Christian home, but it was more of a, I guess, left-siding thing than, and that's one of the reasons my family even originally left the church, because they were starting to tell us how to like, oh, you gotta vote this way, you're not a Christian. I'm like, what?
Yeah, it was politics and all. Religion was involved in every aspect of my life.
Yeah, I started leaving the church after that too. It's like, shouldn't you be talking about Jesus or something like that? Why are you talking about the president? Like,
yep.
Like, what?
Yeah, I had stopped going to church actually before COVID and before the election, but I hadn't left my faith by that point. I still really believed that Jesus was the Messiah, but it was actually during that time that I came to the realization I didn't believe in a God. So COVID and Trump and and how religion played a part in that kind of had to play in how I came out of religion.
Yeah, I don't know if it was different for you, but for me, like, I guess church I grew up, even I loved it anyways, but church I grew up, like, you see these people, Christian people, doing all this stuff, and like, you're thinking, that's the way was that the way I was taught? Like, I don't think I remember being taught that stuff when I was growing up.
Yeah, some of it, I definitely think that. Some of it, I was kind of taught more that extreme. My family was big into conspiracy theories too. So it was really easy to believe some of the stuff in the beginning. So I actually started the pandemic thinking that COVID was not that big of a deal. And it wasn't until I started doing some of my own research instead of listening to my mom, and looked at what the CDC had to say and Johns Hopkins and things like that, I realized that this was real and I needed to take it seriously. And my daughter actually is high risk, so we definitely needed to take it seriously. So I'm so glad that I didn't listen to my mom through the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm a higher. I'm not probably not. I'm high risk as your daughter, but I have asthma. I have asthma, so my lungs are already compromised as it is. So
yep.
So fake or not, I wasn't taking any chances.
And why take chances? It just doesn't. Even if masks didn't help or whatever, why take the chance? It's not that big of a deal to wear it, but whatever. That's
yeah.
I could go on for hours about that topic.
I know. Like I said, we sometimes we just go on a tangent about stuff, but yeah, it's like I probably lost. I don't know. I say lost, but so many friends because I'm pro-vaccine, and they're like, most of them are people I went to school with are anti-vaccine or something, or they're anti-new vaccine. So like, they don't like.
Yeah, it's funny how I do have some friends that are anti all vaccines, but most of them are just anti-COVID vaccine.
Yeah, and you saw, like you said, you saw in that video we made 2 weeks ago that we debunked some of those rumors people think is true about it.
Yeah, yep. I need to send that to my, I actually have a sister-in-law who's a nurse, and she is an anti-COVID nurse, unfortunately. So
I
we
never
need to
understood
have.
why doctors and nurses are anti-vax and stuff.
Yeah, it makes no sense to me either. But
Yeah. Anyways, right.
yes.
So what do you do? So what do you do on your channel?
Yeah, so I haven't done a whole lot recently, but my intentions with my channel are to talk about my experiences growing up in a religious household and then coming out of it, just because it was such a scary time for me when I realized that I didn't believe in God anymore. When I left the church family that I knew, and I also ended up losing part of my family during that time. So there was a lot that was going on. And I know that a lot of other people have had experiences like mine leaving religion. So my hope is that I can help others who are going through that experience and come out with a little more support than some people get.
Yeah. Mine's a little bit slower. I left church full time about 2011, but then I really didn't go away from the faith till a little bit later. It's more of a slower process for me because he doesn't know. It's like even though you don't go to church anymore, sometimes that 30-year however thing you had in your built up, you know, for growing up with it is hard. Sometimes it's hard to like get your brain to stop thinking that way.
Oh yeah, there's still things that I think about that I realize are from my indoctrination growing up, and I have to, like, especially with my parenting, there's a lot of things where I'll say something to my kids and then realize, oh, wait a minute, that's not how I want to raise my children. And so there's constantly things that I'm finding where religion slips in a little bit and I have to reevaluate what I'm thinking and saying.
Oh yeah.
I'm only about a year out of religion, so it's still pretty new and it's still something that I'm exploring a lot about. But I definitely know that I don't believe in the God of the Bible.
Yeah, when I was still going, I even bought some correspondent course about religious studies and stuff. I still have them on CDs and stuff.
Oh yeah, that would be interesting. You know, I when I first came out of religion, I was pretty angry about what I felt was, you know, being lied to my whole life. And I was legitimately kept away from certain information. I was taken out of school and homeschooled so that I didn't learn certain information. But shoot, I so forgot where I was going.
You're saying you were like censored almost.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I was legitimately censored. Some people don't have that. They just they get to learn everything that they're taught. I didn't have that. My mom thought that it was better to if you didn't talk about it, you didn't learn it or have to know about it or have to worry about it, was kind of her motto with school. And then once it got to the point where she couldn't control what I was learning anymore, they pulled me out of school and homeschooled me.
And it's like you don't learn it, you don't know it. So it's like you like, and people are thinking like why are your test grades so bad? Like what like what's math?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't get to learn science. I didn't get to learn a lot of biology stuff. I didn't get to do sex education and all of that.
I'm guessing probably maybe your history was a little bit more focused on certain things, not more widespread.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I live in an extremely Republican state where our education is just bad anyways, but my husband and I are on Instagram together and TikTok, so Brain Bug is amazing.
Yeah, he's been on my show a few times too. You should watch.
Yes.
You should watch the Carboniferous episode.
Okay. I don't know if I watched that one or not. I do watch a lot of them, but yeah, amazing.
Definitely.
So yeah, I grew up kind of just being told young earth creation ideas. I grew up in the church. We were constantly there for Bible studies and Sunday school and volunteers stuff. I was involved in any after school Christian activity you could. There was a group called CEF, which was Child Evangelical Fellowship. And so we went to Rapid City to a camp and got to learn about how to evangelize to children. And we did little Sunday schools in our communities for the children. And I was very involved.
That almost sounds cool, almost. But yeah, I was the same. I was pretty much the same way. At first I was a one day at church when I was growing up, and then I took a 4-year break between. I think that really affected me too. I took a 4-year break. My parents stopped going. I took a 4-year break between like 5th and 8th grade, give or take. I stopped going to church, and I was, and Sundays mornings I watched the History Channel back when it was still history.
Yeah.
That's another rant altogether about how History Channel and TV have nothing to do with their name anymore.
That's true.
But anyways, so then for me, 8th grade, I had a science project, science fair project thing to do, and so that's when I made the bargain. The bargain is right.
To go to church so that you don't have to hear about it.
Oh yeah, go to church. If I go back to church, so I I can get this at least a passing grade on this thing.
Yeah.
So I did for the next 15 years.
Oh wow. Yeah. Yeah. I went to church up until probably about 5 years before I actually left my faith. I stopped going to church because I got pregnant and I was not married.
Oh.
So that was not a good thing. I was asked to be out of the ministry. I couldn't help anymore and needed to step down from all of my roles, and was pretty much shamed into leaving the church. And so, but I still believed in God. I just was really mad at him for why he would let something like that happen, because even though I had a baby out of wedlock, like I still loved God with all of my heart. And so I couldn't believe why he would let me be kicked out of my own church.
The people were such assholes.
Yes, exactly. And so, I still believed in God, and I still read my Bible at home and did Bible studies and stuff like that, just at home. And when my daughter was a little bit older, I let her go to church with my grandma. And it wasn't until until about the time that I started questioning my faith when I stopped letting my daughter go to church with my grandma, because she was already kind of getting some of that indoctrination from going to church with her. And I didn't want that to continue. So then we both left.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, eventually I was a 3-day-a-weeker. I was Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday nights going all day. And then even after I graduated, I started helping with the youth and kids myself. I started, like, what's the word, like paying it forward or something, or whatever it is, or continuing the thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was the photographer for the things. I took all the pictures, everything.
Okay, cool.
So what did you do? Like, what was your big role?
Reaching out. I did a lot of ministry work. So I helped in the the children's ministry. I helped with Bible studies. I did mentoring. And then really just going out and talking to people about Jesus. I was pretty good at getting people to say the prayer. And, that's all that matters is saying the prayer and asking Jesus into your heart.
Yeah,
and it doesn't matter what happens to you after that.
Yeah, technically, if the way we grew up is right, technically we're still, if there is a God, that technically we're still saved. Then we should unless you're the faith that believes that you can lose salvation. But it's
My
like, oh,
grandma does.
Oh.
So she thinks that I'm going to hell. But my mom believes that once saved, always saved. So she thinks that I'm going to heaven and that somehow all of this is working for God.
Yeah. Yeah, like you're still going to heaven. It said you're still going to heaven. You just have a grass house instead of a mansion.
Yeah, I'm really shitting it up here, but it's okay.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. But like I said, I left because I got in disagreement too with people, and they almost asked me to leave too.
Oh, really? What did you get into a disagreement about?
Well, apparently, they look at my YouTube history, and I was looking at some inappropriate stuff for.
Oh yes, you gotta keep a watch over everyone.
So when did you when did you you said you can't talk, like you didn't learn science and history and all that stuff. So when did you start noticing a disconnect between the stuff you're taught growing up in the Bible stuff and say reality?
Yeah. Unfortunately, really recent, about a year ago, I was talking to my dad about religion because at this point I had questions, but I was adamantly trying to prove that God was real. And my dad is an atheist, and he has been for years, since I was like 8 years old. And so we finally decided that we were going to talk about it because we don't talk about religion, or we didn't talk about religion very often. But he brought up evolution, and I said, Dad, evolution can't be real because there's not half animals walking around. Well, clearly that's not how evolution works. And so my dad, told me that's not how evolution works. And so I had to do a little bit of research into that and realize that my understanding of evolution was completely wrong. What I had been told evolution was completely wrong. So then my dad encouraged me to watch an Aaron Ra video about the flood.
That flood series sounds good.
Yeah, about how it is historically cannot be factual, and so that was a really big eye opener for me too. And when so at that time I was talking to my mom a lot because I was trying to prove that God was real, and so I was using her as my person to kind of help me respond to my dad when he had questions. And she didn't have any good answers for these things. And I couldn't find any good answers for these things either.
So did you ever go through the theistic evolution phase?
No, I don't think so. I pretty much went straight from, okay, evolution isn't real, the flood isn't real, the Bible isn't real, God isn't real, pretty quickly. Because it all just logically followed. It all made sense to me.
Yeah. It was a little, like I said, it was a little bit longer for me because I knew evolution was real, but it took me a while for the God thing. I'm like, so evolution's real, so God must have done it then.
I do know people that believe that can fit evolution into the Bible. And
I hate it. People sometimes dream that when the YC people were like, you're either a young earth Christian or you're an atheist evolutionist. There's no gray area.
Yeah, there definitely are.
Actually, I got me thinking now. Is God like a breeder? Like is he breeding humans like rebred poodles and beanstalks and cauliflowers? Like
maybe.
it's like okay, we're gonna have this species over here now.
If I thought he was real, I would maybe think that. But I no longer believe that.
Yeah, like for me, it was more of a history thing. Like I said, that 4 years I was away in my early teen years, like History Channel, and you learned about how the Native Americans crossed over the land bridge like 10,000 years ago, give or take.
How the who?
Native Americans crossed over the land bridge, the Bering Land Bridge, like 10,000 years ago. And I'm like, wait, I didn't really put two together for a while. I'm thinking, like, wait a minute. How could the Native Americans cross over 10,000 years ago if the flood happened 4,000 years ago? Wait a minute.
Like, right. And there was another one, I can't remember what it is right now, but it was another thing like that where it was just like, oh, duh. Of course, those two things couldn't have happened at the same time. That makes total sense. But I didn't put it together.
Yeah, I was still in denial for a while too. I still like, of course, the Bible's right, so that must mean the flood happened before 10,000 years ago.
Yeah, it's always this idea of the Bible's right, so how do we fit this into what the Bible says? And that's such a backwards way of doing things, I now realize. And it was kind of that mentality too that made me really start to question things, because that was my mom's answer to a lot of things is, well, the Bible says this and the Bible says that. And I asked her, okay, but apart from the Bible, like what else supports what the Bible says?
Like,
and there was nothing.
Was he like, what else do you need?
Yes, exactly. It was, well, I don't need anything else because the Bible is the ultimate truth. And, if the Bible says it, then that's what's true. And it was just such a backwards logic it was such backwards logic to me, and I kind of called her out on that too. But she didn't see it that way, of course.
So has she are you not speaking with her anymore, or is she still talking to you, or is she shunned you now?
Yeah, we're not talking anymore. We haven't talked for a little over a year now. We had a talk so my sister is gay, and she wanted to be open and out about it. And so we tried to talk to my mom about that because she was really nervous. My sister was. And my sister just wanted my mom to ask or to look into some information that my sister wanted to send her. And my mom wouldn't even look at it in order to learn some information about the gay community. And that hurt my sister's feelings terribly. And so it was basically, if you can't accept who I am, then how do we have a relationship from here? And my mom agreed and said goodbye. So that's the last time we've heard from her.
And you took your sister's side, obviously.
Oh, of course. Absolutely. And, I have since discovered or realized I am bisexual. So I'm so glad I took my sister's side in that because it was worth it.
Yeah, my niece recently came out herself.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Oh yeah. At first, my sister was a little iffy, but now she fully supports him.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that. It's a scary thing, even even as an adult, it's a scary thing.
Yeah, like I said, we grew up in a Christian home, Christian church, but we were more left leaning than most of the conservative church people.
We were not. We were extremely fundamental. If the Bible said it, that's what it meant. And again, like I said, we believed conspiracies a lot. So it was really easy to believe that everyone in the world was kind of against God and against us. Yeah. And so we would do the prepping thing. And
I never really understood that. If God was so powerful, why is he concerned about people conspiracy and stuff? And like, why would that matter?
So we weren't sure if the rapture was going to happen before the tribulation or after the tribulation. So in case we still had to be here during the tribulation, there were going to be people that were trying to kill us because the Antichrist would tell them to. Well, so we needed to defend ourselves. So we were preparing for that.
Yeah, we were. I think my church was a pre-tribulation rapture thing.
Okay.
And it's like, but even after, it'd be like, why are you concerned about being killed? You're going to heaven anyway.
That's so true.
And you back in 7 years anyway. So.
Yep. And my family wasn't necessarily concerned about being killed because that was kind of like an honor. I can't even tell you the amount of times that we had like missionaries come in and talk about the honor of, dying overseas for your faith, or people that they knew dying. We would have, there were 2 missionaries that went overseas and they were murdered by the people that they were trying to serve. And their widows would go around and talk about how brave these men were and how evil these people were that killed their husband and stuff.
Yeah, every year, twice a year, we had this big missionary thing in Easter and Christmas time for missionary people, local and foreigners.
Yep. And it's always this idea of it's this honor and great thing to die for Christ. And I just like, I just think that's a terrible message to send to people.
It's like, especially, but the problem is like adults are fine, but when you start teaching them as a kid, they like when we were like we were like it gets in your brain as adults.
Yep. Built exactly. In. I remember as a kid thinking it would be such an honor to die for Christ. And that's terrifying now. Like, I shouldn't have had those thoughts as a teenager.
God, I lost my train of thought. Now. So I think. So what do you do for fun now?
Hello?
What?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so it's like you for a second you were like still like frozen for a second.
Okay, sorry. My internet has been a little bad lately, and we have road construction going on outside our house, so I don't know if that's why, but sorry.
I was like, so what do you do for fun?
I spend a lot of time with my family, and then I do the YouTube stuff. This is kind of my fun time. Mm-hmm. But I have 3 children, 2 boys and a little girl, and they take up the majority of my time. This year, they're all in extracurricular. Pretty busy around here.
Yeah, you flickered out for a second there again.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, this happens sometimes with the 5G conspiracy.
Yeah, and then I do the Hereticals show on Friday mornings. So that's and then I have my own channel that I record stuff on, but I haven't done a whole lot with that. I have been busy with personal stuff. So I'm hoping to start actually recording stuff on my channel soon. But
so you know what's weird about my channel? At first, I was gonna make this like a Christian puppet show channel when I first started this channel.
oh, really?
But then right after I decided that's when I started. That's when I left the church. So it's like that plan fell apart really fast.
That's funny. I wasn't even planning on starting a channel or doing any of this. I actually started with a Facebook group. I was trying to create a group in my community of atheists because I live in a really conservative state. And so not a lot of people that I know are atheists. So I was trying to find other atheists in my community. And I want to get some community work going in our community and things like that. And I wanted to do like an introduction video so people knew why I started the group. And so in order to record that, I did it on YouTube and just happened to leave it up on YouTube. And then people started finding it and started asking me to be on their shows. And then it kind of just became a thing. But I wasn't actually starting this to become a or be a YouTuber. It just kind of happened.
Yeah, actually, I mentioned that I was a photographer at my church and stuff. Actually, it's because for the longest time I was camera shy.
Oh yeah.
And I thought, so in order not to be in any pictures, I took the pictures.
That makes sense. I don't mind being in the pictures, but I also really like taking pictures. I can do either.
Yeah, I thought it was an ugly teenager. So, but then once I got kicked out, I just remember the church people. Used to say my anger trumped my shyness, and I started making more videos.
I understand that. It's definitely this feeling of almost betrayal of people that you trust.
Yeah, yes. Sorry, go on.
Oh no, I know that a lot of the church people like literally have the best intentions and they're not thinking that they're deceiving you or anything like that. But you still kind of can't help but feel that way when you come out like everything you've been told was a lie.
It's like I've been with you people for like 20 years, give or take, growing up, and you treat me like this. I'm like, what the hell?
Exactly, and it's such an eye opener to how the church treats people when, like, I had a youth group leader tell me that, I was going to get pregnant. I was going to fall away. And, unfortunately, pretty much everything that happened. But he was just so condescending about it. Like I was going to have the worst life ever because of these things. So it's kind of fun to now like turn it on its head and be like, yes, I did do these things, but I'm having a great fucking life and a great time. And like, I am not this broken person that you said I was going to be.
Yeah, the same thing about some of my high school bullies and stuff, like call me a loser and stuff. And like, so that's the reason I took this channel name originally, because I wanted because that's at the year I graduated and the year I went to school at. So I'm like, okay, I'll make something. I hate those people, so I'll make something of that name.
Okay, I was wondering how you got the name.
Yeah, then Delia, the city I grew up in 1998, the year I graduated.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, so like, I made something of it, and I turned something that I used to hate into this.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. And that's, kind of what I'm trying to do with this, taking something that I hate that made me, what I feel like made me a bad person. I don't like who I was when I was a evangelical Christian. I definitely was an arrogant person when I was a Christian.
I don't think I think personality wise, I think I'm the same as I was as a Christian. I just guess I'm more open to signs now than I was before. Like more, I'm more vocal than I was as a Christian.
Yeah, I'm probably a little more vocal, but I was pretty vocal as a Christian too. I think I'm kind of trying to, if I can help as much people as an atheist as I did as a Christian, I'll feel like I did some kind of good.
That's the one thing. Like you mentioned. I remember now. You mentioned earlier about you starting a group and stuff. That's the one thing when you're a Christian, you take for granted. All your friends are things. So you have a big group of people you can talk to and stuff. But when you leave, you're like, okay, I'm by myself now.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I experienced. Besides having my dad and my sister, it was this very lonely feeling of, all of my friends were Christian, so I couldn't talk to them, and everyone around me and my husband's family, everyone was Christian. So it was definitely this lonely feeling. And, churches, they're there to support you, especially in your low times. Like when you're struggling, that's when the church will build you up the most. So I was struggling and didn't feel like I had this community of people to help me until I started reaching out to other atheists and kind of built this thing.
Yeah, same thing for me. Like I mentioned, I was bullied in high school, so that's when I started really clinging on to the church people more and more, for support back then. It's like,
yep, yeah, I was bullied in high school too. Not high school, in elementary school, but mine was because I was a Christian and because I was such a uppity, know-it-all Christian.
Yeah. So somebody started a rumor that I was gay back in high school, and back then in the 90s, that was even more, that was really taboo back then. So I wasn't. They're like, I got picked on and beat up, almost like, not say beat up, but just stuff thrown at me and stuff for just a rumor.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That's terrible.
Yeah, so I had to transfer schools in 11th grade to get away from it.
That's terrible. We had to transfer my daughter out of her school because she was being bullied. I wish that schools would do a little more for that.
Good news, only 5 states don't have more of the privilege of having at least one child vaccine.
I'm surprised South Dakota isn't in that.
Is that where you're from?
Yep.
So you're in the less cold Dakota.
The less cold? I don't know. My governor is.
Well, I meant coldest and weather-wise.
Oh, cold. I thought you said cult. I'm sorry.
Oh.
My governor is like so far shoved up Trump's ass. So cult, I would consider her part of that. Yeah. Cold, yes. We're in the less cold state.
Yeah. I live in Ohio, so our weather's like crazy too, but I actually live an hour away from the museum and Ark.
Oh, really?
It's like, and actually, I went there 2 times before I left the church.
I want to go now that I'm not a Christian.
Yeah, me too.
I think it would be hilarious.
Yeah, I want to see it through different, like you see it through different eyes now, almost.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be so interesting. I've never been.
So it's funny. You know who Ken Hovind is, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't even know who he was until after I left the church.
Oh, really? That's
how relevant he was in my even Christian world. That's how people knew that it was until I left the church that I haven't found this guy even existed. Apparently, he was this big Christian person, but my church never even taught about him.
Yeah, we listen more to Ray Comfort and Ken Ham than we did Kent Hovind in my church. We did the Living Waters thing with Ray Comfort and what's his name? Kirk Cameron.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was more like Ken Ham, but very similar people.
I actually grew up watching Kirk Cameron on TV in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
That
He was on
sitcom,
that show, right?
Growing Pains.
Yep.
Yeah, like years later, like, wow, see, like how they've fallen.
I know. I used to watch. He did a Left Behind series too, which was a pre-tribulation.
Oh yeah,
series.
Oh yeah, I actually have all those on DVD.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, we used to watch those all the time.
I read all the. Did you read the books too?
Oh yes, and I actually just got rid of all. I had all of the kids series, which there's like 100.
Oh yeah, the kids series. It's like, yeah, the kids series, and I used to when I was reading them. I was trying to like when they came out. I was trying to find. Okay, where's the? I was trying to. I'm a history time chronology thing. So thinking, where do these fit in the books? Like, where's this event happen in this big book? Like, my chronological brain is trying to figure these stuff out. I think you're frozen again.
Hello?
You're back.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry.
I switched to a different network on my internet, so hopefully this will work better.
Awesome. Like, you heard me like when I was reading the books, I was trying to fit the chronology of the kid books and the adult books together.
Oh yeah, that would be interesting.
Also, did you ever read what was the Narnia series too?
Oh yes, yep. And we owned those movies, or I think there was two or three of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were good too. I still don't mind. I'll watch Chronicles of Narnia, the movie. That's not terrible.
I hated I you watch the whole series, read the whole series is weird, but I hated how that last book ended. I'm like, oh my god, like they like you don't know if the one sister ever got there or not.
I'm trying to remember.
Like
it's been a minute since I've read those books. I don't really remember.
It's been like 10 years since I read them myself, but the thing with my brain, I remember stuff, the good and the bad sometimes, and locked away. But back when I lived in Inglewood and worked in Vandalia still, it was a 2-hour bus ride to work because instead of the bus ride, instead of going from city there to there, I had to go like south to the hub and back up north again, transferring hub. So like I was on the bus for like 2-4 hours a day. So I'm like just reading books.
Yeah, that's what I would do too.
But yeah, like at the end, the one sister got like didn't get in. I'm like, stupid ending.
I still don't really remember that ending of that book, but I hate when books have that and those types of endings.
Yeah, I hate the books too, but I hate when it happens to TV shows. Like when the series finales open in the cliffhanger, because I guess it happens, that the show that got canceled or whatever, so it's like this big cliffhanger and it never resolved itself.
Mm-hmm.
But like can't you like have it as special? If you know you're not going to get renewed, have an ending. Don't.
Yes, that's what I liked about. I don't know if you've seen the show Firefly. They actually came out with a movie to end the show, and it was brilliant. But more shows need to do that.
Was it Serenity?
Yep, Serenity was the movie. Firefly was the show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like this one show I watched, I forget what it was called, but at the very end, this girl came up and says, "I'm your sister," and then series over.
Yeah, that's right.
My God. So are you like games at all? Video games or anything?
My kids play Fortnite, so I play that with them every once in a while. And then we have a Switch, so I play Mario Odyssey and Mario Kart and stuff.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I don't have a whole lot of time to play video games.
Yeah, I have less and less time myself, but I've never really gotten into Fortnite myself.
Oh my gosh, I wish my kids hadn't, because if we let them, it would take over their entire life. They love it so much.
Oh, answer your question. I saw her on the Heretics shows. It's a show. It's Friday morning, our time. It's an Australian show on YouTube.
Yep.
But yeah, yeah. I never been great at PvP games ever, and the last shooting game I was good at was Duck Hunt.
Oh, yeah. I never really played a lot of video games growing up. That's not something that we had in the house because video games were bad.
They were evil.
Yeah. And like anytime we talked about video games, it was always Grand Theft Auto. It wasn't like, games like Fortnite, although my family wouldn't have liked that, or games like Mario Kart. It went straight to things, the worst video games, Mortal Kombat, Grand Theft Auto. That's the one.
It's funny, but I think maybe even Mortal Kombat in the 90s would probably be tame nowadays to some games.
Yeah, probably. But I remember that was a big deal when I was a kid because we went to a house and someone was playing that and my mom freaked out when we left the house. She believed that demons could attach to you. So if we were in a situation like that, a demon could follow us home and we would be inviting them in.
Yeah, I was more of an RPG fantasy game. Even now, some people that's evil too, like Zelda and Final Fantasy. I was more of that person, but I guess even some extremists, would think that was evil too.
Oh, for sure. They can make everything evil.
Like My Little Pony is evil. Pokemon is evil.
Yeah, Pokemon was because it had evolution in it. The Pokemon evolved, and so we weren't allowed to play Pokemon either.
Like even though nowadays
or watch Harry Potter.
Those the worst book series I read.
One of the worst?
No, I said more book series than I read.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't read the book series. I've watched all of the movies. I want to read the books.
I was reading the second book, and I realized that they went to school the same time I did. Because I was reading about the second book. I was reading about they're going to the birthday of the headless ghost, and 500 the 500th anniversary of my death, 1992. I'm like, wait a minute, 1992. Go back. Oh my God, I'm the same age as these characters. It was like would have been as I was in the 90s when they were. So I'm like, we would have graduated together. I'm like, I thought it was all cool and stuff. And she's gone again. Let's see how long it takes her to come back. All right, and she's gone. Well, it's advertised what's happening next week. If he's back or not. Next week, I'm having Eric on my channel if he's still doing it, and RJ. We're going to talk about the anniversary of 9/11, 20 years later, and how our computer has changed since then. So yeah, hopefully Eric can still be on if he's still listening, and RJ, like I don't know how much if Eric remembers pre 9/11 or not, but yeah. Oh, she's restarting her internet. All right, so I'll talk more. Yeah, so but there, yeah, a lot of stuff. Yeah, I was 20 when it happened, so I'm old. I'm very old. Not RJ old. I'm so old. But anyways, yeah. Jade's returning to internet. Let's see if she gets it back. And in 2 weeks, hopefully, I will be with Erica Guts at Gibbon talking about the Gibbons. It's supposed to be last week, but she's a teacher now, so her master's in teaching the group now. She's a teacher in college, so she's got schooling even more so than before on both sides. Yeah, that, and hopefully I'm also doing another episode with Jackson, playing that episode with Jackson and Mr. Wilford about another period in geology. I haven't decided which one yet. We're going all over the place in this thing. I'm thinking either the Permian or the Devonian. See the rise of the synapsids, or we see the rise of the tetrapods. Both interesting things in our history of life and the earth. So, we have a vote for the Permian. Permian, when the synapsids were reigning supreme, and the ancestors of dinosaurs were waiting, and the dinosaur ancestors were waiting for their time to shine. Oh, yeah, a lot of stuff planned on the channel coming up. Let's just let's see how well these plans come through. Right. Anybody have any questions? In case. If she does come back, anybody have any questions for her? They want to ask her anything? And if not here, just leave them down in the comments below. I can't remember to put a link to her channel down below too. So yeah. Earthquake. I remember. I don't think earthquake. My biggest thing that year was my dad was a racing fan. That's the year that Dale Earnhardt died. So that was a big thing in his life. 2001. That was also the year I was filling out. That was also the year I was doing terrible in college. Oh, go back sometimes and do it better in college than I did back then. You wish, but time travel doesn't exist yet. or if ever. All right. All right, so she can't get back on her, and it's dead. So I said, join us next week for the 9/11 anniversary episode, and all right, never stop learning, enjoy the randomness. Hope to see you then. And in about 2 hours on David's channel, he and Dan are going to talk about bad science. So hopefully I'll see you there. Bye.